Welcome back to Afternoon Express. In 2006, Dr. Tsidi Gule, affectionately known as Dr. G, started the MediSpace Lifestyle Institute, a healthcare solutions facility that provides companies and individuals with programs to improve their health and wellness. Lately, she's been busy guiding employers in health proving their companies in aid of COVID-19. Now, she joins us today to give us more insights and an update on the COVID-19 pandemic and the current situation South Africa finds themselves in. Hi, Dr. G, how are you?
Hey, Pali, always good to see you, girl. Looking good, eh? Looking good.
Ngiyabonga siswam, but you were looking good a second ago. I saw you rocking your Burberry mask there. We saw you.
You know it's not Burberry. Stop it now.
Hint, girl, Pella, just finesse it. No, I'm just kidding. But you are making sure that you're safe, and you're doing so to help other companies that seek your assistance. Now, how have you go about health-proofing companies, and what does it entail?
Well, it's a very simple procedure, and thank you so much for asking this on this platform, because, you know, people often think that they're going to get away with some shortcut version of this. So the Department of Employment and Labor has lobbied a lot of companies to look at the COVID-19 pandemic as a long-term picture. And fortunately, because there is a specific field in medicine known as occupational health medicine, COVID-19 has been classified as a biological hazard, which means now companies, from even a legal point of view, have got to make sure that the workplace is safe. They've got to provide all the different safety measures, but at the same time, they've got to take specific care in making sure that whatever happens between the level 4 all the way up to perhaps the level 1, we are really, really committed to reducing the rates of transmission.
That sounds like a lot of work. And how do you ensure that you tick all the boxes? Do you have to be there? Does someone that's medically trained or someone who knows about the space have to go into each community, each company rather, and tick off those boxes?
So there's various stages of this, which is really important for employers to remember. And we've really simplified it at MediSpace into 3 stages. We call it the AIM approach. So A stands for assessment, and various players from a medical profession come into this part, and this is mainly the domain of occupational healthcare professionals. And then there's, of course, the intervention, which is often a multidisciplinary team. So intervention, which is the I, then looks at if the company meets the criteria of being a safe environment, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not going to get employees who don't get infected by the virus, because people come to work, go home, they go to all kinds of places as well, and we've got to be there every single week. So intervention can be one, you've heard of this virtual or telemedicine, so that has obviously mushroomed thanks to the Health Professions Council to afford us doctors to come in and look after people on a day-to-day basis. Those who obviously are diagnosed with COVID, but also normal people who are having day-to-day issues. Flu is coming, and of course a lot of people in South Africa also suffer from chronic diseases. So we may not be able to see these people every day, and that's important. M stands for monitoring, which in the one case when it comes to COVID is about case management. How do we make sure that someone who is positive re-enters the workplace and is negative, but also how do we keep tracking what happens at the workplace when it comes to exposure to this virus long term?
You've spoken about AIM, so we have to remind all of the employers in South Africa right now to make sure that when you're looking at your organization, you have ticked all 3 boxes and you are ready and safe to allow your employees to continue working. Another thing that you've mentioned, Dr. G, at the end there, you said M is for measure. Now in South Africa, it's been reported that 10,000 COVID infections have been secured, and 100% this is what's happening on the ground. Now, is this number normal compared to the rest of the world?
I think it's been the buzz number of the week. Everybody seems to be really paying attention to this 10,000. I think the first thing we need to just give a great, I guess for me, applause to the medical profession is that we actually took this long to even get to 10,000. A lot of first world countries were there within the first couple of weeks. And the key reason that actually was achieved here in terms of delaying those big volumes is because of lockdown. By restricting mobility to a virus that initially came into our country through a travel-based risk, we really did well in trying to contain the spread. And so we're going to start seeing these numbers for two main reasons. One, if you look at the season we're in, from a clinical point of view, this is winter. This is the start of winter. We're going to start seeing a lot more niggly things create almost a fertile environment, so to speak, for any virus to come in and thrive. So COVID is coming in now at a time where a lot of immune systems are starting to complain. If you think about yourself, this is usually the season. Sometimes you might have the sore throats, you might have the odd runny nose, you might actually have sniffles. And so your immune system is being challenged. But also, we've identified all the hotspots. The Department of Health has done an amazing job in mass screening. So we're screening more per day, which means we're uncovering more cases per day. And that's why you're starting to see that significant rise.
So then why then, with the lockdown already in place, is it just because there's plainly more people going to get tested, and is that why the numbers are climbing? Is there need for anyone to be a bit afraid heading into the world, or is it just because of negligence?
I think there's two aspects. The first is that the more you screen, which is for us identification, the more in terms of ratio you should find in people who perhaps weren't showing the signs and symptoms before. So remember, it usually takes the virus up to 2 to 14 days before anyone manifests symptoms. So the screening campaign has to be almost a continuous one rather than an ad hoc and then we stop and disappear, because we've got to keep picking up members of the population. So with the government ramping up the screening campaign, I mean, we did 14,000, I believe, 24 hours ago. That meets the World Health Organization criteria of countries screening up to 10,000 of their citizens per day. So also another milestone that's being achieved by the industry. I think people don't need to panic. And there's a reason I'm saying this. Because we're starting to really pick up where the key areas or epicenters, so to speak, of infection are, this is always good because it allows us to also then bring in proper measures to contain the spread from those areas. And you're going to see some decisions coming out of those findings.
So it looks like we're on the right route here. It seems like we're heading in the right direction, which we are so grateful for as a nation. You've already spoken about symptoms and that the cases seem to be changing the more people test. So what are the latest symptoms, since we have been updated and we've got more information, and what should people now be looking out for?
You know, I've been deliberately avoiding this question because there seems to be this interesting idea that there's new symptoms for COVID. I think the first thing to address is that there's most common symptoms of any respiratory-like illness, and then there's, of course, less common symptoms. And perhaps the list of less common symptoms that are showing up in COVID-19 positive patients is the list that's starting to grow. The most common one is where we'd like the public's attention to remain, which is your high fever above 38 degrees normally, your dry cough, sore throats, shortness of breath, and of course sometimes you've got the body aches and the headache. Those are really still one of the most fundamental. We are seeing symptoms like a loss of taste, a loss of smell. We're seeing symptoms like diarrhea. We're seeing the nausea. We're seeing people coming and being a bit off balance and dizzy. But that could also be the impact of the virus as it multiplies in the bloodstream on the organs. And I think it's very important for us to focus on, I mean, one of my consultants used to love saying this, he's a pulmonologist. Focus on the things that occur commonly first. And that's really where the attention is.
Okay, so we start at the things that commonly happen and then we move down the list from there. So no need to panic, South Africa. Just make sure that you are clued up as to what you're looking out for and you're quite well communicated with your body and with your spirit. And moving on, not only to physical hurt, but mental hurt, mental health, because not only has this had a huge effect on the way we're living, but also on our mental health. So what advice do you have for people who are dealing with their emotions during this time?
I think the thing to acknowledge is the fact that this is going to be quite a long-ish journey. And I say long-ish very, very carefully and respectfully because I know sometimes South Africans, our patience is not that great. Yeah. The great thing is that we've done so well. And The whole point of mental health is not for you to remain positive throughout an uncertain time 24/7. Nobody's asking for that kind of energy or that kind of output from a mental well-being. The critical thing is to be mindful of where you are as often as you can be. So if you're anxious, I mean, the study by the South African Anxiety and Depression Organization, for example, has revealed that more than 50% of South Africans during COVID-19 have exhibited symptoms of anxiety. That's okay. It's when these symptoms become difficult to handle and they interfere with your day-to-day function that it's time to get help. So I think a lot of individuals need to be reminded that it's okay to not be okay, but you need to get the support, whether it's talking to someone or talking to a professional.
There's always options is essentially what we're saying. Thank you so much, Dr. G. You're very, very insightful, and thank you for cluing us up on what's latest all COVID-19. We appreciate it.
Anytime, and continue to stay safe.
Cheers, my love. Allow yourself to feel and express your emotions. Remember, everyone is affected by COVID-19, and we're all in this together. Look after yourself and your families by staying safe and staying home. After the break, we're back in the kitchen with another lockdown recipe idea that uses most of what we all already have in our cupboards. See you after the break.